Hello everyone, it's me, Alex Turnbull, your registered dietitian with Chartwell's K-12. Today I am back to share a simple and delicious recipe with you that we can make together. All right, so this recipe we're gonna do today is called homemade granola. So granola you can easily get at the grocery store, but you can also easily make it at home with some of these simple pantry items that you might already have. Plus, it's more affordable and there are so many benefits to getting into the kitchen and learning how to cook. Now today you're gonna probably need the help of an adult, so make sure you find one and have them help you out to make sure you're just staying a little extra safe with the oven that we will be using today. So before we start with our recipe, I wanted to talk a little bit today about the main ingredient in our homemade granola. Can you guess what that main ingredient is? I'll give you a few clues. It's the healthiest grain on earth. You got it yet? Okay, well it also helps to stabilize our blood sugars and decrease the risk of heart disease. It's also whole grain. Do you know what it is yet? All right, maybe you guessed it. It's oats. So we are gonna be using oats in our homemade granola as our main ingredient. But first, let's talk a little bit more about oats and the different varieties that there are.
When you think of oats or oatmeal, you might think of something that looks like this. These round, flat oats. Or maybe you think of something that comes in a package like instant oatmeal. Whereas actually, oats start out as what we call an oat groat. Have you ever heard of an oat groat? Maybe not, but here is what they look like.
Here are some of our varieties of oats. There certainly are more, but these would be the main ones you would commonly see. So let's take a look closer. Here we have steel cut oats. So this is the oat groat, cut by steel blades, hence the name steel cut oats. So it's a more coarse and chunkier kind of oat. And these take longer to cook. Here we have rolled oats. This is maybe what you think of when you think of oats or oatmeal. So essentially this is an oat groat that is rolled and pressed. And these are a little bit easier to cook and they take a little bit less time than our steel cut oats. Here we have quick oats. And these are even quicker to make, hence their name. This is essentially a rolled or old-fashioned oat that's just chopped up and a little finer. Lastly, we have here instant oats. So these are the rolled oats that are even more fine and more chopped up to make them practically instant when you make them. The difference with these is they'll have additional ingredients typically in them, such as sugar, sodium, or salt, and even dairy at times. So just be mindful and check your nutrition label with instant oats. Now you know about the different varieties of oats, but you're probably wondering, which one do I use? And are there any nutritional benefits to one over the other? Great questions. Well, it's gonna depend on what recipe you're using, what consistency you're looking for, and how much time you have to cook it. So steel cut oats, the more coarse and dense oat available, is going to take a lot longer to cook and be a more coarse and chunkier consistency. Whereas your instant oatmeal is going to take a lot less time, practically instant in your microwave, and it's going to be a more mushy and porridge type consistency. So it depends on what consistency you'd like, what your recipe calls for, and then as far as nutritional benefits, they're all very similar and provide a lot of great nutrition in terms of your fiber, some protein, and great heart healthy benefits. However, our steel cut oats are a little more dense, so it's actually half the portion that you would need to get the same nutritional benefits from our rolled or old-fashioned, quick, and instant. The other thing you'll want to consider is your instant oatmeal might have a few more added ingredients in it than your other varieties. So make sure you're taking a look at your nutrition label and taking a peek at your sodium and your added sugars specifically, and maybe your ingredient list too. You might be avoiding things like dairy and milk because you're lactose free or have a milk allergy, and sometimes in instant oatmeals you might find some dairy in there as well. But remember, when you're cooking with plain varieties of oats, you are most likely going to be adding some ingredients to it to make it a little more flavorful, such as honey or brown sugar, which are added sugars, and maybe some salt, which is your sodium. So keep that in mind when comparing versus your instant oatmeal. Instant oatmeal is convenient and it's affordable, but maybe you prefer to make it at home. So be mindful of the ingredients you're adding to it as well. But there are still healthy ways to enjoy all varieties. All right, so now that you know so much more about oats and where they came from, let's get into our homemade granola recipe. This is very easy, but you're gonna wanna make sure that you have an adult help you with the oven. So first, let's preheat our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And then here's the items that you're going to need while we wait for our oven to preheat. You will need a mixing bowl, some kind of stirring utensil. I love my handy dandy spatula. Measuring spoons, measuring cups, of course, so many benefits to getting in the kitchen and measuring our ingredients, plus it's fun. A microwave safe bowl or a pot, and then you are going to need a sheet pan with either greased with some cooking spray or parchment paper, because this is a little bit of a sticky recipe, so we're gonna wanna make sure it's easy to get off our pan when we're finished. So our ingredients that we have here are going to be 4 cups of rolled oats. Remember, we talked about the different kinds of oats. We are going to be using rolled oats in this, or old-fashioned oats, same thing. Then we're going to need a 1/3 cup of honey, 1/3 cup of 100% apple juice, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 1 teaspoon vanilla, some good flavor in there, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 3 tablespoons of oil. Now I've pre-measured most of my ingredients, but this is why you'll need measuring spoons and cups at home. So first thing we're gonna do is take our microwave bowl or our pot, and we're gonna put in all the ingredients except for our oats. So that would be partially our dried ingredients, so we're gonna set that aside for now. So we are going to mix everything in here and essentially heat it up so that it can all get really well combined. So I'm going to put in my cinnamon, my vanilla, my salt. I have my brown sugar. I like to clean as I go when I'm in the kitchen, so it's not as much of a mess when I'm finished, and I can enjoy my recipe and finished product more. So I have about a 1/3 cup of juice. This is a 4-ounce juice cup, so I'm just using almost all of it. And then here's a little trick that I learned from my kitchen manager, Susie Haig. She's your kitchen manager at Creek Valley. Maybe you know her. We are going to do our oil first in our measuring cup and then our honey so that it doesn't stick. Otherwise it gets really messy and it gets hard to get all of that honey out of there. So we need a 1/3 cup of honey, but I already have measured out my oil. So I'm gonna just put my oil into my measuring cup and kind of swoosh it around so it gets all on the sides. Pour that in there. And then what I'm gonna do is put my honey in here to measure it out. And we're done with that. And then it just slides right out and I don't have to do any scooping. So it's a pretty awesome trick that she taught me. All right. So what we're gonna do then is we're gonna mix that up. You're gonna put it in the microwave for about 30-second increments and stir until it's all dissolved. Or you're gonna mix it on the stove in your pot on probably medium to medium low. You don't want it to boil because then it will burn. So we'll get it all nicely mixed, and for the sake of videoing here, I'm just mixing it up as I'm able to. And then we're gonna take our bowl, toss in our oats, a little dusty, and we're gonna combine these wet ingredients. Set aside here, get it well mixed and tossed. So all these rolled oats Our old-fashioned oats are evenly coated. It smells really good. Your kitchen in your house is going to smell delicious when this gets to cooking. Okay, so I'm almost done here. Give it a nice stir and twirl. All right, I think we're good. Then we're going to take our lined tray here with parchment paper, and we're going to just spread it out so that it's evenly spread. It helps the oats to just roast and cook a little bit better. So this is fun to do. You want to spread it out evenly. It's going to look a little bit wet, but that's okay. This is all going to absorb into these oats and give us a really yummy flavor. What you'll want to do is once your oven preheats at that 350 degrees, you will put it in, and it's going to take about 20 to 30 minutes, but you're going to want to watch it very closely. And this is where an adult is going to be very helpful, because every 10 minutes or so, you're going to want to take it out and give it a nice toss, because the outsides are going to get really dark and you don't want them to burn. Because of that sugar in there, it can easily happen. So you're just going to want to stir and toss it about every 5 to 10 minutes or so until your granola, with the power of magic in our videotaping, it looks like this. So nice and golden brown, super delicious. And then we can take that parchment paper, and it's in nice little clumps here that you can even just eat yourself, or you can put on top of a nice parfait with some yogurt and some fresh or frozen fruit. Really delicious. So this recipe is actually the recipe that we use at school for our parfaits for breakfast and lunch. So our kitchens smell really great when we're making that homemade granola for you at breakfast and lunch. So I hope you found this as an easy recipe that you can make at home with some of these simple pantry items. And remember that oats are an amazing source of fiber and really great nutrition for us. There are so many different kinds too, so make sure that you go check out your pantry right now and see what kind of variety of oats that you have. Maybe it's quick, or maybe it's our rolled oats, or maybe you even have the steel cut oats. So check it out and comment below to let us know what you have in your own pantry. All right, I hope that you tune in next time for our next recipe, and we'll look forward to seeing you.